Yep, you're ready to go.
Okay. Hi, guys. So welcome to Plug In, our business session today. We've got the lovely Serena and the lovely Catherine with us. It's going to be like a panel discussion kind of setting. I'm just going to ask them some questions about their businesses and just in general about their spiritual and personal development as the business women. Okay. So if I let you guys introduce yourselves, Serena, do you want to go first?
Hello, everybody. I am Serena, and I am the founder of Detangled Hair, which is a website where you can get natural hair products, skin products, and beard care products. And we also do events around health and hair care.
Great. Thank you, Serena. Catherine?
Hi, I'm Catherine Ante, and I am the designer behind Jasmine Designs. I do all types of designs. So at the moment, I've actually got a head wrap line, but I also do graphic design and fashion design and clothes making.
Great. Well, thank you guys for joining us today. So the session is called Mind Your Business, which is in essence just being mindful of business. So it sounds a bit rude. But it's actually not minding your business, guys. So we're just thinking about how are we mindful of how you guys mindful of business, your finances, your personal and spiritual development as business women. So the first question I'm going to ask you is, why did you decide to start your businesses? So either one of you can go first. So why did you decide to start your business? Serena, you want to go first? We'll just keep that order. Serena, you can go first.
I think it was a mixture of a couple of things. I think one of the things was following on from my own interest in natural hair, my own natural hair journey. So learning to do my hair and getting into that arena and learning how to take care of it. Also, I've had the desire for a while to work for myself, but I didn't know how. So I'm sort of, I guess through that, I'm laying the foundations to begin to do that. Obviously, it's a long journey until I get to that point where I can fully work for myself. And I think also I saw an opportunity because at the time that I wanted to start was sort of the same time that the natural hair movement was sort of more prevalent in the UK. So it kind of, the timing was good, I think. And I was on maternity leave at that time. So I had a little bit of, if you can call it extra time with a baby.
Not really, but
yeah. I had that time to sort of think.
Yeah, definitely.
So it was a mixture of things.
Great. Catherine?
For myself, the reason why I wanted to start up a business, I've always wanted to work for myself, but mainly talking on the head wrap side. I was going through a stage myself where I was wrapping my hair a lot because my hair was breaking underneath due to stress and pregnancy and stuff like that. So just doing some research on that, seeing some ideas, and obviously I've got a thing for design and stuff. So doing sewing at home in my free time, was able to come up with a design to do a silk lined head wrap, and it's just gone from there, thinking about protecting my hair and also covering up in something that's quick and versatile to do. So that's the reason why I started that.
Great. So I would think that both the similar points that came out of that is the fact that you guys want to work for yourselves. So it's more like some independence, financial independence, and obviously being able to be your own boss as well, which I think is the main reason why a lot of people start their businesses. So when you started your business, obviously starting a business for anyone is quite a hard thing to do. There's so many different hats that you have to wear as a business person. Was it like a leap of faith venturing into business, or did you feel confident and say, yes, this is what I want to do and I've got everything I need and I'm going to start it? Or was it just a leap of faith? Serena?
I think it was a bit of both. I don't know if anyone can be 100% confident that everything's going to go right, because starting a business is a big risk. So you have to have an amount of faith most definitely. But I did have some confidence as well. I think if you don't have confidence, you're not going to do it. So you have to have that confidence in yourself. But I also tried to, like you said, there's so many hats you have to wear, and I'm still learning. I'm by no means a finished product. So it was balancing that. So it was trying to prepare myself, trying to learn a bit more, so I didn't just start. I did a bit of research first and tried to prepare myself. So there was a level of confidence, but there was also a level of faith, and I think with both of them together. But for me, I think because I know I want to work for myself eventually, I had to just like give it a go, basically. So yeah, a bit of both.
A bit of both. Catherine?
Well, I'm kind of slightly the opposite. Like I have and still I'm struggling with like zero confidence with myself in starting up just the head wrap thing was hard enough, because even though I have the skills and know how to do it, it was just like, do I take this leap? Do I have to? Because again, I did an apprenticeship in garment technology, so I kind of know the back works to how production should work within an apparel factory, or how, you know, it would work if I was to make a head or a clothing line, basically. So seeing what should be the kind of like the process and knowing what I can actually do by myself, I was like, yeah, no, I can't do this. There's no point of trying. I haven't got the manpower, I haven't got the finances, I haven't got it just, everything wasn't there. So I think it took a whole lot of friends and family to kind of literally give me a kick. I can't say push. It was literally a kick. And they still are kicking, because there's so many other things I could do, but I'm just like, I know what I need the outcome to be, but I know right now I don't think I can do I think I am my hugest critic, and because I know again what the outcome should be and what I can achieve, I know that it's like literally like what I'm supposed to and what I can at the moment is like down here. I'm like, you know what, there's no point of me doing it, because I don't want to then start something and then fail, and that's my biggest fear.
I definitely, something that you said there, you mean your biggest critic. I think that's the reason why a lot of people are scared to go into business, because they criticize themselves so much. Even though you have the skills, you might have the knowledge, but you're thinking, I'm not as good as other people or something like that. So definitely, I think a lot of us can resonate with that. The next question I want to ask you is, as a business person, you obviously sacrifice a lot of things. What are some of the things, or some of the main things you had to sacrifice? So what I've realized is that we're all mums on here. So I think one of probably the biggest things to sacrifice starting a business is time. And time. So what are some of the biggest things for you in particular that you had to sacrifice to start this business of yours?
I think for me, I think like you said, it's time. You sacrifice a lot of sleep, because because the work that you do has to be done. So for me, I still have a job, and I'm building my business up alongside that. So I still have to work, still have to look after your family. And then after everyone's gone to bed, that's when you sort of do your own work. So, you know, you're tired. And then when you're tired, you're not always giving the best of yourself to your family. So I think that is a sacrifice in itself. Obviously, you always have a little bit of mum guilt as well, like, because sometimes you have events that you have to go to, you have to network and things, and you're like, oh, I have to leave my kids and go. And you feel guilty, and it is a bit of a sacrifice. But I think it's kind of like a double-sided coin, where it's a sacrifice, but it's also an investment. Because that time that you are away from your children, even though it's hard, you're investing in their future and your future as well. So you kind of have to see it like that. I mean, you still have the guilt. I still have the guilt, but I have to kind of look at it as an investment and look at the the opportunities that I can get from that. But yeah, you sacrifice your time, sometimes your energy, obviously money, resources. But then if you're using it wisely, it's also an investment. So I think that's how I kind of resolve the feelings of guilt, even though they're not fully gone.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What about you, Catherine?
I totally agree with Serena. I think I can't really add more onto that other than for me, I had to sacrifice money because especially like trying to get yourself off the ground, especially when there's a lot of competitors, especially in the fashion world, there's a lot of drawbacks to it where you've got to kind of lower prices to get to or promote out to then to promote yourself basically. So I would say that's one big sacrifice, because where I could be earning more, and trust me that there are people that are like could be producing the same product, but because of their name or branding, they're able to bump it up £300 or £400 more than what it actually costs in making the garment or whatever it is itself. So again, money was a sacrifice.
Yeah, I would agree with that too. Definitely. And in business in particular, you call that opportunity cost. So like, what's the opportunity cost like of you going into business, or you going into this market, for example? And I think definitely a lot of times it's time, it's money, and specifically for moms, as you said, is sleep. So yeah, definitely. Well, I'm not a business person myself at the moment, but I've always wanted to start a business. And so even though I'm studying business right now, I think the thing for me as well, because I'm studying, is definitely time and energy and probably not money, but more like sleep. So I think that comes into it a lot as well. For those who are studying and not yet probably have their own business, I think that comes into it. So the next question I have for you is, first, how long has your business been operating, and how has it changed since you started till now?
So for me, I think we're coming up to 3 years. I think it's July will be 3 years. How it's changed, I think maybe I've more changed than necessarily how the business is, because I did have a good idea of the brand that I wanted to create around hair and stuff, and I'm hoping that when people see that, that's what they're seeing, so they understand. But I think in terms of change, it's just me understanding and learning how to do things better, me being more confident. So when I first started, I may not have wanted to tell people, oh yeah, I have a business. I would go to events, but I would be too scared to network and things like that. And I think over the past 3 years, I've just seen, look, like, if you want things to happen, you have to sort of create the opportunities. So I think it's me growing in confidence and pushing myself. That's what's changed. I think obviously the brand is growing. We've got more followers, we've got more customers and things like that. But I think the change is more in me and my attitude and my confidence, and then that's pouring into it. Like I said, I'm not the finished article, but I think as you do more, as you research more, as you network more, and that's what I've been doing over these past couple of years, it's built my confidence so that I've got a clearer vision of where I want to go. So I think that's the changes that I've seen so far.
Great. Catherine, what about you? What has changed for you?
And
how long have you started?
So I started, I think I launched my head wrap Instagram in September, so it hasn't been too long. And how it's changed for me, to be honest, it was a confidence thing as well, because where I know it was a product that people were really interested in knowing about, and actually, but again, for me, it went back to knowing what I can produce and how I want to produce it, but not having the time to execute it in that way. So it did go through a bit of it still is a bit of a roller coaster, because right now what's changed for me is the supplier that I was using for material has stopped getting shipments. So right now it's like I have material that I could produce stuff for, or make stuff up, but then it's still like right now majority of the styles I can't continue the line of it, because I don't have the materials for it. So that's it's changed for me.
That's a good point, actually, especially now during this whole pandemic. Obviously, a lot of businesses are facing uncertainty. So definitely what you said about your supplier not being able to being completely shut down is one thing that would definitely affect you. And I just want to ask Catherine in particular, as a new business, what are some of the challenges that you faced? So you haven't been operating for that long, but what are some of the challenges that you face, particularly as a new business?
I think it's because I actually launched it on Instagram. It's trying to figure out how Instagram works and how businesses can work on Instagram. So for me, it was trying to find the research on how to use Instagram effectively, and also trying to I know Serena touched on networking, or even finding those places where you can network to promote and launch these type of products, which it's been quite difficult only because of the climate and stuff like that.
Yeah, definitely. Serena, because you're obviously more experienced in, I would say, in business, you've been operating for a while. What are some of the maybe an advice that you could give someone starting up in business? So Catherine's kind of like a new business, but she's doing so well. I'm telling you guys, I've got a head wrap and it's amazing. So what's some advice that you could give someone like Catherine or myself that's thinking of starting a business, since you're more experienced?
Yeah, so I would say I think research is key, and I think sometimes people overlook it. Sometimes you just have an idea and you just want to go with it. But I think it's good to research, and what I mean by research is think about so whether you've got a physical product or whether you're offering a service, who is your customer going to be? And I would even say, like, create an imaginary customer. So, my target audience is somebody of this age, they have these sorts of interests, they do this. So where would I find that person? And then if you do that exercise alone, it helps you to sort of hone in, like, okay, what arenas do these people travel in? What sort of events do these people go to? Maybe that's where I need to go. I would also say looking at what your competitors are doing is also important. I know sometimes it's intimidating because you look and you think, oh, they're so much more further ahead than you are. And that may be true, but nobody can do your business plan like you can. So even though you've got other people doing the same thing, we're all doing it our way, if that makes sense. So even though there's people are further ahead of you, you're bringing something different to what it is you're doing. But have a look at what they're doing. Have a look at what people that are doing the same thing as you, have a look at what they're doing. Look at what's working for them. And then that will give you ideas in terms of how you should, or what you could do and what you should do. And also look into your own networks. So if you're on LinkedIn, we're part of a big church community, family, whatnot. Search and look at what people do, because you will actually you'll be surprised to find that actually there's a lot of people that you can draw some advice, some knowledge, some guidance from. If you look into your own networks, don't be afraid to ask people for advice and knowledge. And I think those three things, if you start with those, start to do your research, and also don't just ask your family and friends for their opinion, because they're more likely just going to say it's great, which it probably is, but they're not going to be your main customer. This is the truth. It's not. They're not going to be the ones. They invest in your business much later. You're going to have people that you don't know coming to you first. So if you can do something like a focus group, or speak to your friends and say, hey, would you mind getting some of your friends together so I can talk to them. I think that's a really useful tool, because then you're hearing exactly what your potential customers want, and you can never underestimate feedback. I think that's one thing that I've learned. When you're listening to your target audience, these are the people that you want to spend the money on whatever you're offering. So if you can tap into that, then I think you've got a good foundation to move forwards. I think those things are a good starting point for you.
Definitely. I think that's some really, really good advice as well.
I wrote
so
some stuff down.
Yeah, I'm writing it down too. I'm just gonna go over it. I was gonna go over it. So what Serena mentioned was look at obviously knowing your customers, knowing what your customers need, kind of do activity where you make up a like a fake customer, for example, and find out what does this customer need, where do they maybe travel to, like all of the specifics of this customer. Then your competitors, look at what your competitors are currently doing, to help to guide you to with what you need to do. And also I think that helps also with knowing how you can differentiate your product from them. So if you know what your competitors are already doing, how can you make your product different so it stands out? And your community, like your networking. So knowing we have obviously a big SDA community, and I think we don't realize sometimes how much skills, like there's so much skills in our church. For us, I would say like Holloway, even there's so many people that do so many different things, and I think now I'm becoming more aware of it, and I think it's very useful to use those people around you as well to network, definitely to help you within your business. So I think that's the three main things that we mentioned. So customers, competitors, and your community. So the 3 C's: customers, competitors, community. Guys. Okay, so
you should copy that, Serena.
I'm sure it exists already.
I think that should be your thing. Yeah.
I'm the first person, but hey.
So I was actually listening to a sermon today by Mike Todd, and he was basically saying, it was entitled Relationship Goals, but the relationships talking about like business relationships and obviously romantic relationships and otherwise. So he was saying how the same way, if you read a manual, you will be able to get all the benefits of the product. So sometimes we get our phones and we get TVs and DVD players, for example, and most times we don't actually read the manual. We just take it out, set up, and that's it. I've never read when they say terms and conditions, no, we're all guilty of it. I just say it's fine, I agree, and that's it. And then put the product together. So he's saying in that same way, but he's saying because we don't obviously read the manual, we don't reap the full benefits of the product. So we only use, for example, 5 or 6 features of that product. And he related it back to, in the same way, if you don't read your Bible, you don't reap all the benefits of everything that God has in store for you. And I relate that back to business in the sense of, if what Serena said earlier about preparation, if you don't acquire the knowledge that's needed to run a business or start a business, then you won't reap all the benefits that business can, you won't be as successful as it can be. So my question to you guys is, what are the things that you do to be able to continuously develop yourself as a business person? Same way how obviously we need to read the Bible to develop ourselves spiritually, we need to read a manual to be able to know how to work something. What do you do to be able to develop and kind of help you to stay on track in your business?
I think for me, one of the things that I did before I started was create a vision board just for my business. So I've got all the images and things that I want to do, and I'm continuously sort of reevaluating that to see, am I on track? Do I need to change anything? And I think that's important, that you have something, obviously like a business plan or something, but I like to have something visual as well. And it's good to go back to that and look over it to see if you're on track. I think one of the things that I did was also I approached somebody who's in the same arena as me, doing something slightly different, and I asked them if they would mentor me, because I saw the work that they were doing, and I thought, gosh, this person has a lot of knowledge. I like what they're doing. Thankfully, they said yes. So I think that also is good. If you can find a mentor, they don't have to be doing exactly the same thing as you, but if you see that they've got the skills that could help you, I think that will help you to develop. And I think just keeping my eye on what's going on in terms of natural hair and stuff like that, looking at what the bloggers are saying, looking what the different businesses are saying. You know, you just have to keep up with all the news and all the developments, and then take that to how does that fit in with your vision? Do you have to change slightly? You know, and as I said before, listening to feedback, because I think you start off with your own vision. Yeah, I want it to look like this. I want this, this, and this. But if that's not what your customers want, you're not going to be successful. So you have to balance between having authenticity and integrity, but also, you know, really giving people what they want. So listening to the feedback. If there's any like little courses that I can go on or things like that, I look out for that as well, so that I have a background. Because I think with business, or with anything, with life, with parenting, relationships, anything, we're always learning. There's always something new to learn. You know, you're never going to get to a point where you're like, I know everything and I'm fine. So I think just in every aspect that I can, I'm just trying to keep plugged into all the different things, which can be tiring sometimes, I must admit. But I guess, maybe if I were to say one key thing, it's listening to your audience and maybe getting a mentor. Those two things will help you, because they may well help you as well to align your goals. But it's just keeping aware and alert of everything that's going on, and continuously reevaluating what you're doing and looking at where you might need to change. And I think that helps and feeds into the development.
Definitely. Yeah, Catherine, what's one of the things that helps you?
I'll say, to add on to what Serena said, because I was going to say finding a mentor is key. I feel, especially if you're a person that doesn't have or may not have the confidence to you know, put yourself out there, having someone that will hold you accountable at some places as well is a good thing to have. And also I think Serena might have touched on it as well, is basically doing like I've been to a few webinars and like 2-day sessions and about business or Instagram, because again my business is on Instagram, and that's the platform that I'm using solely at the moment. So just learning about the different ways you can use different avenues, even like Etsy. I think I've done a course on Etsy. I'm not there yet, but Etsy and other platforms that you can launch smaller businesses on and use them effectively.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good point, especially for a lot of businesses now that are online, and obviously especially like Instagram. There's a lot of businesses that start off on Instagram. That's their main source of kind of like where they get all their customers from. So I think that's a good point as well, just to keep on developing yourself and knowing about the platform that obviously you're selling on or you're advertising on, and doing courses. There's loads of courses as well. And I know at the moment, well, I'm with Vodafone is my provider, and actually they do free courses. So if you're on Vodafone, guys, go on the Vodafone app, you do free courses. I'm not a salesman for them. I'm just letting you know, I'm the plug, you know, and then, you know. So yeah, Vodafone, they do free courses or courses that are kind of discounted, and they have a lot of courses actually available, social media, business courses. It's quite good. So if you do want to go on that, I think that's a good point as well. Couple questions and then we're going to kind of wrap up, but I just want to ask as well,
did I say podcasts as well? It's kind of on the same lines of webinars, but listening to podcasts as well has helped me a lot, especially because again, I'm still working, so for my pastime, I would listen to podcasts on business, on all sorts, basically. But it's a good way to occupy that time rather than just either listening to music or listening to nothing.
Yeah, I think that's good as well, especially during obviously this time when we're all locked in and hopefully everyone's social distancing. Well, we have more time than usual to actually just, I think, develop a skill, but not so much like pushing yourself to like start that business or have a completely new thing, but just to like listen to things and increase your knowledge. Not too much pressure on yourself, but just to listen and increase your knowledge and being prepared, as you said, and just acquiring more knowledge. I think that's always good. That's always a good thing. And I actually learned today the word knowledge in Hebrew is light. So that means that, you know, being darkness can't reside where light is, guys. So
Wow,
like, cool. That's now listen to that sermon. So yeah, it's good. So one other thing that another question I have for you, you guys, is I know Catherine mentioned earlier about the fact that she wasn't as confident with kind of talking about her product, or I think both of you mentioned that, weren't confident talking about your product at first, and the pricing of it and stuff like that. So how do you deal with people not valuing your service or your product? How do you deal with people that say, oh, that's too much, that's too expensive, no, I don't want to buy that, because we all know it happens. But how do you overcome that and not feel like your product is not worth that amount that you're charging?
Catherine, do you want to go first with this?
I've got, it's a two-way answer for me, because again, I can say that my friends have definitely helped me try and like I guess they've done research for me, but been able to be like, because I was one person that, because obviously I didn't have that confidence, I'll be like, oh yeah, I don't mind, I used to do things for people for free and still do that sometimes, because I enjoy doing it. So it wasn't any skin off my nose, basically. So people was like, no, but people will actually pay for this, Catherine. This is a skill that people pay for. So put yourself out there and let people buy into your gift. And then it kind of like took me back, because I'm just like, well, how much do I worth? Or how much do I feel that I'm worth? And that's where it kind of like, you have to kind of step back and look at yourself and be like, do you know what? A teacher that when I was doing my apprenticeship, she was a teacher that was teaching the fashion side of it. And I was telling her doing these things on the side and whatever, and I didn't actually have my business then, but I was just like doing random stuff for people. And when she told me what she would do or how much she would charge for that, I'm just like, whoa, that's way like, it was extreme. But then when she broke it down to me, like, oh, but you think about, you have to take a percentage of how much your electricity you're going to be using, how much time using, how much material money, and then adding that all together, and then seeing actually, do you know what's coming out of my pocket and what you guys have to pay is nowhere close to this, basically what the product is worth. So it's kind of taking a look back, seeing what you're worth and how much you feel that your product, and this is more talking on the apparel clothing side, but in terms of being seamstress and stuff, that's how you kind of have to price it. So it's like stepping back and looking and seeing.
Yeah,
that's definitely a good point.
I totally agree. I think that and I think it goes back to what I was saying before about doing your research. So if you're looking at what your competitors are doing, that will give you an idea of pricing anyway. So you're not it wouldn't be wise to go miles high above them or even miles high below them. So if you know that, you know what, I'm bringing the same quality, I've put in the same effort, and my pricing is reasonable, then I think if you come across people who are like, oh, that's too much, maybe it's not for them.
That's another thing.
I was about to say that same thing.
Yeah, and I don't mean
they're not your target audience.
I like, as long as you know that your pricing is reasonable, because obviously, you know, if your competitors are selling something for, I don't know, £10 and you're trying to sell it for £80, obviously, you know, that's a bit, you know, it's like, oh, hold on. But if you know it's reasonable and you've done your research and you've priced it correctly and you've put everything into it, if that person doesn't want to buy it, there's somebody else that will appreciate it. And then you focus on those people. And I think that's the way that I see it. You know, with my website, it's slightly different because we are like a multi-vendor site. So they set their prices. However, I do speak to the vendors and say, look, you know, I'm looking at the prices. So if I feel like they've gone way too high, I will also advise them. And sometimes they're saying, oh yeah, you're right, I thought maybe I should push it up. So, you know, it is good to do your research. But if one person doesn't value you, there's somebody that will.
Somebody else,
exactly.
I mean, that's something that I had to learn as well. Like, people was like there are going to be some people who are not going to like your product or like the price of your product, but there are some people that will and pay even more. So
exactly. exactly.
You just got to move on.
Yeah.
You have your target audience, so your product isn't for everybody. You have a target audience, so just focus on those that actually appreciate what you're going to do, because those are the ones that are going to keep on reinvesting in you. So I think that's how you have to do it, but you have to have that belief first. Like Catherine was saying, you have to have that belief and understand that you are worthy of charging this amount because you've put the effort into it.
Exactly.
It's not a flash thing that you've done. You've put the effort into making something quality. So this is the price it's going to be. And that's how I see it.
Yeah, I think that's some good points there. I think out of that, we kind of get, you need to know your worth. Just know your worth in your business, and knowing that actually if it's a quality product, then don't be scared. Or if you've put so much time and effort, if it's handmade, for example, Catherine, and obviously your stuff is handmade, really high quality. So I definitely feel like the main point there is just knowing your worth and knowing that if people are complaining about it, they're not your target audience. They can't afford it. It's obviously not the customer that you're targeting your product at. And definitely other people will be prepared to buy it as well. I think that's some really, really good points there.
It's funny, I got an example on that. But I work in a knitting factory, and it's a high-end knitting factory. And some of the stuff that I work on, I was never dead. You won't see me dead. Yeah. Me and Marcus decided to actually look at what one of them might be sold at as retail. And it was like £330. And I was like, this reggae jumper that basically like took me like, well, but then obviously being in the company and understanding the process and the time, because everything that's done in our factory is done by hand. So let's say for a day you might produce maybe 20 jumpers, where like a retailer like Primark, which is constantly having the same produce out there, and the quality is not as good, may like be they obviously are selling their jumpers for like £1 or 50p or sometimes or something ridiculous, where then you look at these jumpers and it's like then you seem to like understand and realize the quality and what you're actually paying for. Some of them you are paying for the brand itself, but in terms of the makeup and the quality of it definitely, that pricing has got to do with that also.
Yeah, definitely. It has to do with the quality. And that reminds me of I think one of the first sessions we done on the plug for like the business section was about your customer needs, and realizing that like your different target customers had different needs. So one of the needs we're talking about was quality, or does your customer want convenience? It obviously depends on your target market. And we were also talking about quality, that sometimes you're obviously paying for the brand name, but if your product is quality, you have to charge a higher price to reflect that quality as well. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes when you price it low, people think that it's low quality. It's just a perception. And when you do charge it a bit higher, you think, oh, maybe it's on par with these other products. Especially if they see the quality of the product, then it will more convince them. So that's definitely a really good point. I have two more questions. And one of them is more about a spiritual side now. So what started being a business person, do you think that it's maybe helped your spiritual life, like with the faith thing? So we talked about the fact that starting a business is like a leap of faith. So being a business person, do you think it's helped with that faith, or do you think it's kind of taken away from your spiritual life in the sense where it's time consuming? So is it added or taken like a bit? It's a bit,
I would have to say it's a bit of both for me.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because there was a time where I was like, I had to for me, thinking of me trying to put my business at the forefront of stuff that I may be doing like for church and stuff like that. I never realized then how much these elements of church life, let's call it, was actually helping my spiritual life. So eliminating that to try and push forward my my business for myself was then taking that away from me. So then I was feeling like there was some kind of lacking of some kind of spiritual in my day-to-day life. But then with that, I'm like, on the flip side, it's like having that faith to do it, and then like seeing the things come into tuition, like things that I never even imagined, or opportunities I never even imagined that could happen, just come. And it may have been a thing where it's like, you know what, maybe just before I sit on the sewing machine to make this garment, I'll say a quick prayer that this whoever this is, I know I'm not going to spend as long as I really want to on it, but I'm still going to try and produce as best quality as I can with the time that I have, and I hope that person feels like I've given them a good product. So and I've never had a bad review about the stuff that I've given out. So yeah, it's
I think for me, yeah, maybe it's also a bit of both. I think with business, like you need to have faith. I'm constantly praying about things. I'm constantly wanting to, because as a Christian, I want to maintain a level of integrity. I want to make sure that I'm doing things fair and well. I'm not trying to pull the wool over anybody's eyes.
Yeah.
So I'm very mindful of that. There's certain things that people might suggest, but I might think, well, actually, that doesn't really align with my beliefs. It might help me move forward a bit quicker.
Yeah.
It might, if it doesn't align with my beliefs, then it's just going to have to take me longer. So maybe there are things, opportunities, I say missed, but I feel like God's got more in store. So let me just try and be faithful. But I think also I've managed to kind of mingle it in some ways. So say like when I've done the events, like when we've done our health and hair care events, I've managed to have people from church come and speak about health and stuff. And, and I feel like that's part of a wider ministry as well, So I kind of think in some ways it's helped to intermingle spirituality and build it up and provide opportunities. But yeah, sometimes you're too tired to do things. You might not be able to always do things you want to do at church. So it is just about getting balance. So I think it's a bit of both. But I mean, I'm constantly asking God, am I doing the right thing? Show me what to do, open opportunities. And he is doing that. So I think as you do, if you always put him in the center and cling to him, he'll take you around whatever way you need to go. And that's how I see it. So I think it's kind of a bit of both.
Yeah, definitely. I think you touched on something there with the thing about morally, is it within my beliefs and things like that? Because in business, obviously, there's loads of different things where people are shady business people, or they kind of trick you into certain things, or they don't give you what they actually promise to fulfill for you. So another question, a small question I have for you guys is, do you struggle sometimes with the fact that, is it God's will, or is it just me pushing for for this to happen, or is it like, oh God, is this your will, let it be done? Or is it just like I need to persevere and kind of be determined as a business person? Or is it more, is there a struggle there?
I don't know. For me, I think I had like I said before, I had the idea when I was on maternity leave, and I remember going for long walks with my son Micah. So I was going for long walks with him in the pushchair, and I would just be praying, saying, God, I really want to find a way to work for myself, want to be able to spend more time with my children and whatnot. And then it kind of all just came about, like hair, and I can't even pinpoint exactly how the idea came, but I feel like it was an answer to my prayer. So I kind of feel like as I move forward, as long as I'm not being shady, as long as I'm keeping to what my morals are, my Christian morals are, then I believe it is his will, because I see opportunities opening up. I see the feedback that I'm getting. I see things like that. So I never feel like I'm just pushing for me. It's not really the sort of person that I am anyway. I'm not necessarily, even though I have my own business, it's not, how can I say this? I'm not motivated by money. Like, obviously I need money to live. I'm not like, yeah, you know. So I have a passion for it as well. Of course, I want to make money. I want to make profit. It's a business, of course. But I think the way that, for me personally, the way that it came to me and the opportunities I've had, the people that I've met, I do feel like I'm going in the right direction.
Yeah.
And I'm just trying to stay humble. And there's always more I could be doing, but I try and go at a good steady pace, so I don't feel like I'm pushing too much and you're doing too much. So I think that's how that's how I resolve it. So yeah, I feel like it's in his will.
What about you, Catherine?
What's the question exactly again? Sorry.
Is it do you struggle between whether me doing this business decision or taking this step is God's will, or is it just I'm pushing for something that I want?
So for me, I think my story or my testimony would be just like, I don't know, you guys can probably help me of the story of I can't remember what his name was. Someone went in a boat and God had told him to go and preach.
Jonah.
Yeah, was it? Yeah, Jonah. Basically, my testimony is I am in the belly of a whale here. The amount of times that God has spanned me back around, be like, hello, is what to do? Hello. Yeah. Like, just an example of, I actually went to I started my fashion journey in Middlesex University, and in my first year, well, I can't really claim it. I claim it, but I can't claim I did 1 year. So in my first year, I fell pregnant, and I tried to continue, and I was just like, okay, I'm going to be a mom. This is my journey for now. I'm just going to focus on being a mom, and that's it. And I stopped sewing. I stopped doing anything to do with fashion, whatever. When I was signing on doing Universal Credit, they were like, oh, you can look for jobs, but don't really look for jobs, but look for jobs. And I was actually, I actually don't want to stay in Universal Credit. I don't mind looking to try and better myself and my daughter at the time. And then I found this apprenticeship, and the apprenticeship was in fashion. But actually, when I was at Middlesex, I was actually studying and wanted to major in knitwear. So when I was like, okay, all right, God, this is what you're telling me to do. I'm gonna go back into fashion. I'm gonna do this apprenticeship. I know it's in fashion, but I guess something will happen. Funnily enough, where the course was actually being held was in a estate, basically, where next door this brand new knitwear company had just started, maybe 6 months before the course had started for me. Had opened up and wanted apprentices. So I was like, okay, applied, got the job straight away, started my course, and started working in this knitwear company. And I was like, okay, God, you definitely want me to do knitwear, so let's do it. They moved me around, even though I was only supposed to do a certain part of the company. Basically, you're supposed to just be a garment technologist. I was able to move in every area of the company, so I know how to do logistics. I know how to set up a knitting machine. I know how to connect the knitting parts and stuff. I know everything basically of the factory. So I was just like, okay, God, where do you want me to go next? And then it felt like I just didn't hear anything. So I was just like, okay, well then I'm here, but that's it basically. I think I'm just going to be here basically. And then I had a tragedy with my family, and that basically knocked me off my feet, and I just didn't know where to go from there. I was like, what is life now? How do I move on from this? Because again, I was pregnant at the time as well, so it was like, I'm on maternity leave. Where do I move from here? How would I then think about having my family and progressing with my career? And I was only able to maybe work like 1 day a week. So then because of that, there was like, okay, well, Catherine's reducing her time, so we're not going to invest so much time into progressing her throughout the company. So that's where I was just like, you know what? I don't know where to move from there. And then someone was like, I think at that time my hair started to do some craziness, and I was just wrapping my hair just normally with the head wrap of material that I had, and then I had saw, I'm not even too sure who it was, so I think it was a blogger that had this silk lined head bonnet, and I was like, okay, cool. And then she attached, like, she just had like a little thing on it. I was like, okay, how would that look if it was like connected to the head, to the bonnet itself? So then I trialed one, and I was just like, oh my days, this is really cool. Like, it was so simple, easy to make, and I was able to get the stuff together. And it's just like, okay, God, do you want me to actually start a business? I'm not the most confident. I consider myself to be a background person. I am at the back, I'll be at the back. I would love to support, but I've never ever seen myself to be at the forefront. And I guess then he allowed people around me to just, like cradle and push me into the direction where, Catherine, you have the skills to actually become your own boss and produce some kind of product that people need. And again, the Jonah experience, I was there. He keeps on turning me back around. Yeah, even in the face of maybe a
testimony.
Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. That is testimony, and it's still going. But I'm willing to for times to be like, God, like I know everything is in your hands, and I know I'm just a mere human being. I don't know where to go. Just send me. I'm ready. Send me where to go.
I think that's a really, really good point to like end it on. The fact that God will keep on guiding us and kind of showing us what path he wants us to go in. We may think that this is the path that he set us in, but like I always think that God is just a funny God. Like things always come full circle. I feel like God has a sense of humor, because the thing that you might be like, I don't know about that. God is like, no. Turn you back around, and you go back on the path that you've been avoiding for like how long as well. So I think God is definitely a funny God like that. And one more thing before we wrap up is there a particular scripture that helps you guys, or a thing that's more spiritual that helps you guys within your to keep on going within your business? So is there a scripture or just a particular thing that you do that helps you spiritually to keep on striving for better or keep on going with your business? Any scripture you could think of? Sorry, putting you on the spot.
Yeah, I can't remember what the scripture is now. The other day I was looking for it and I couldn't find it. But if I paraphrase it, it was just talking about the fact that God only gives you enough strength for that day. So no matter what happens, if it's high, if it's low, if it's very, very low, he's giving you enough strength to give in. So that kind of pushes me to kind of think like, do you know what? Because I'm a warrior sometimes as well, I can lift my hands up and be like, God, I know that today may go the way I want it to go. It may go left, it may go right, but I know that whatever you do, whatever does come into intuition, like I know that I have enough strength. No, you've given me enough strength, to actually go through that day. And if I keep that in mind, it's like it kind of eases me down to be like, yeah, I know that there might be something may happen, crazy could happen, but I know that day he's given me enough strength.
I think that's a good one, definitely. Thank you.
I think for me, one of the texts that comes to mind, I believe it's Philippians 4:13, which is I can do all things.
All things, yeah, that's another one.
And I think that say, Catherine, what you were saying about not feeling confident, that resonates with me. I always, if you ask me to describe myself, I'd always say, oh, I'm quiet, I'm shy. Like, these are the words that I will always use.
Yeah.
So I would never imagine myself doing some of the things that I do, you know, but then I don't do it in my own strength because I am naturally quiet. I am naturally shy, and that's not a bad thing, that's fine.
Yeah.
But, you know, for me, I just say, God, if this is what you want me to do, give me the strength to do it. And I find myself doing things that I would never imagine that I could do. And that's how I know I can do it, through Christ who strengthens me, you know, because like I said, if it's just me and my own strength, I'm quite happy to just sit down in the corner, be quiet, and say nothing. That's my natural disposition. But I've seen myself up speaking and organizing things and networking and going to events and asking questions and approaching people that I don't know. And that's not my natural disposition. And that's why, you know, I always pray before I go to events, I pray before I do things, and I just say, look, help to take away the nerves and whatnot. And that's how I know I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. And that's why just following on from what you were saying, Trevor, like it's a day by day process, it's a step by step process. Like I said, we're never the finished product. Is day by day, leaning on God, asking him to guide us, having confidence in ourselves as well, that we can do it because he's given us the strength to do it. Like Catherine was saying, he's given us enough strength for that day. So leaning on him, and that we can do all things. There's nothing too big or too difficult for God to be able to accomplish through us. And I think that's a wonderful thing. He uses us to accomplish great things, you know. So I think I try and remember that as much as I can. And that's definitely one of my key texts that will get me through things. Because I'm nervous all the time. People don't believe me. What's really not? Of course, like, you don't believe me. But I can still do it, and I still do it because I'm not doing it in my own strength. So I think that's one that really resonates with me.
Yeah, definitely. I think both of you made a good point about strength. That God gives you the strength that you didn't know that you had. Like for me, I've started a course teaching business to like secondary and college students, and obviously I look really young. You know, I'm joking, I look really young. So they think that I'm their age. So the respect sometimes just like it's just not there. And I felt really nervous, even though people always say, oh yeah, you come across really confident. I was just like, I was literally teaching, and in my head it was like, okay, this is gonna go, this is gonna go. Like I was just overthinking everything. And it's crazy that God just like, as I said, God has a funny sense of humor, because I've always like ran away from teaching. I've always kind of like work with young people. I'm like, God, I can't bother to teach. Like it's long. Like learn how to do all of this, going back to uni. I can't be bothered. And God's like, no. And literally, like I literally applied last minute, thinking it's not gonna go anywhere. I'm not gonna you know, get through to this course. I'm just applying, just be like, God, see, I applied, okay, and nothing happened. And God was like, sorry. On that interview day, they were like, oh yeah, we'll let you know in a week if you've got it. On the interview day, they said, yeah, you're into the course. And I was like, what? So yeah, God is like, yeah, God uses the things that you're running away from all the time, I think, to get you to like fulfill that purpose that he wants, the thing that he wants you to walk in and glorify him using. Because I think like me being in teaching, I feel like I've become a lot more, I don't know, spiritual, or a lot more like in line with what like God wants me to do, like God wants from me, sorry. So yeah, definitely I think that's a good thing to end it on. God gives you the strength that you didn't know you had. The things that you doubted yourself for, God will be like, it's through me. Yeah. So thank you guys for joining us. It was really, really good talk. I just want us to pray before we wrap up, and just pray for anyone that's like starting a business, and also that God gives them the strength to walk in their purpose or do anything that God wants them to do. Who wants to pray? Or should we all say a word?
Yeah, let's
say a sentence.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll start, and then Serena, then Catherine. Yeah, dear Lord, thank you for allowing us to gather together via this platform and share ideas about business, and help us to please inspire someone.
Dear Lord, thank you for the visions that you are giving different people at this time. And I just ask that you give them the strength and the courage to believe that they will be able to succeed through you.
Lord, I just continue this prayer and saying, Lord, I pray for those people who need the courage to step into that faith, Lord. I pray that you give it to them in abundance, Lord. Pray that you can surround them with people that will push them in the right direction and give them the strength that they could do all things through you. In your name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Thank you, guys.
Thank
Hope everyone has a good day.
Thanks for having us, Fiona.
Yeah, thank you.
That's all right. Thank you, guys.
All right,
See ya.
bye.
See ya.
Bye.